I wanted to ask Daryl tonight to give us a little bit more information about himself and maybe talk about what inspired you to the drum.
Oh, yeah, that's that's a big one.
Yeah.
Actually, years ago, I was walking down on the other half of our reservation in it's called the Watuppa Reservation in Fall River, Massachusetts. And there are two sides. There's a side where the city took 100 acres for watershed, but we still go down there and we have a burial ground down there. So I was walking down to that burial ground. This was quite a few years ago. And for a brief moment, I don't know, I'm not going to say it was a vision. I think it was more like a premonition. I saw, it seemed like I could hear and see like my ancestors singing on the way down there. And then, it was only a few seconds and then it was gone. And then shortly after that, I was asked to be a volunteer with a children's youth group, Native youth group at the Rhode Island Indian Council in Providence. And I was supposed to just be an assistant. And the person who was running it ended up not being able to do it anymore. And so instead of me letting the program grow, I just took it over. And what we were doing is we were promoting Eastern culture and crafts and different things and stories. And it seemed like people kept coming in. It kept growing. It getting bigger. We were getting more and more kids in there and stuff. And they were dancing to tapes of other drum groups. And then one day, a couple of us said, you know what, we need to like have our kids dancing to our own music, and Eastern music, and we need to be drumming for these kids ourselves. Wow. So a couple of us got together and we started drumming. One of the guys knew a little bit about drumming, and so we started drumming and singing some of the songs. And then we got to the point where it was like, you know what, we need to do our own music, not copy anybody else's. So we started brainstorming and getting some songs and some older traditional Eastern songs. And then I started writing some very simple songs for the kids and things, because I had prior knowledge of the language from elders that had taught me a little bit about the language. And then I just started creating music. I mean, for me, it was just a gift that all happened at once. And, that's basically how we were born. We started out with a drum that was loaned to us by the Eastern Pequots. And we were drumming with that. And then when we got enough money, we raised enough money. One of our brothers, Kenny Blackout, he got a drum for us. And I said, well, we got to name the drum. And I said, let's name it the Eastern Medicine Singers, because we're using Eastern music and it was medicine for the people. So we came up with that name and everybody liked it, and that's been our name ever since for the last 13, almost going into 14 years of drumming. And it started out slow, a lot of practice. We were playing around at different places, helping different groups out that didn't have money for drums. We'd come in and do things for them. And then, it evolved into, more and more as we started doing our own music. And I think the biggest thing that really kicked us off is we were asked to do my tribal powwow because the original drum had backed out. And then that was it. I mean, seemed like our career took off after that. We were playing all over the place after that point, and it just kept growing. It was beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, what a beautiful beginning, working with young people and just working with people who want to learn the culture. And, you talked about that you knew a little bit of your language. The other members of the group also bring in language as well. And can you talk about how that, because it's kind of like an intertribal, you represent 4 or 5 different nations?
Yeah. Actually, we have one of our brothers is from the Shinnecox on Long Island. We have another brother is from the Narragansett Indian tribe. We have two from my tribe. We have myself, and we have Billy, that is a Picasso, and we also have one female backup singer that's from my tribe as well. And we have Ramapo Lenape from New Jersey, and we have a Chappaquiddick Wampanoag from my nation
Yeah.
out on the island, and we have two from the Métis Nation up in New York. So we have a broad group of different people from tribes, and from time to time, I mean, we have people that were with us that could no longer drum, but they were from all. We even had a drummer from Pine Ridge that was on our drum at one time. So we've had quite a few different people that have come through, and it's a hard thing to keep the drum group together for that long, 13 years, and
Yeah.
you know, we just keep bringing the new medicine, and we're doing more and more new things. Actually, student at New England Institute of Technology. I'm in digital media productions, and I already received my associate's degree, and I'm just about finished now. I'll be finishing up in May with my bachelor's, and I had leaned towards audio engineering and filmmaking, and we do graphics there too, but I'm not really interested in that as much as I am in the filmmaking and the audio, because I think that I can tell a story that nobody else can right now about the Eastern people, because there really isn't a lot of films on the Eastern people. And I thought that it would be a great idea. This was actually a school project. And of course, when I turned it in, my teacher was like, "No, you gotta get this to PBS."
Great.
Yeah, you gotta try and get this to PBS. And so I'm working on some funding so I can actually pay some of the talents to come on and talk about the different tribes and the different Eastern culture. And that's what I'm focused on. I'm not focused on Western or anything else. It's focused on it was specifically going to be like North and Southeastern Massachusetts and Rhode Island, but I may have to expand it a little bit and go into New Hampshire and Vermont to get some of the other tribes. I think it's going to be bigger than I thought it was, and it's going to be a great film, because I really want to capture some of those people who are holding those old traditions that people think don't exist here in the East anymore. And I think it's a great story to tell about how and when and what happened here in the East before anything else. I did have planned, I'll give you a sneak preview if everything goes well. I did have actually planned a scene of when the first Vikings came here and encountered our people. I'm working on that. I've got to raise quite a bit more money to complete that, but I thought that would be an interesting opening shot when I actually get the whole documentary together, is to recreate the fight at Vinland, which was our territory. And I have a group of Viking reenactors that are ready to go on that.
Wow.
Yeah, and I would like that to be like an opening scene. That's my vision right now, and hopefully I can accomplish that. And then the history, we're going to be telling some stories about some things people really have not heard about the East that kind of coincide with what's happened today to a lot of the Eastern people, and some of the assimilation and how they had to survive but still keep their culture. So I'm going to be looking at other individuals that are tribal leaders and tribal historians that are around here in the East, and I just want them to be relaxed and to just tell their piece of the story so we can put the puzzle together.
What an important work that you're doing. Good for you. Daryl, Jamieson, wow. I'm really wowed and in awe of this project and being able to be strong in that.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, it was a mission that I accepted by the gentleman who started teaching me the language. His name was Clinton Wixon, and in our language it was Nakia Hammock, which is Chief Lightning Foot. And he passed away. He named both of my children, and he passed away shortly after my son was born. And he told me that you have to carry the stuff that I taught to you on, and we need to do it through the children. And what we did is, before he passed, we developed a children's powwow through my tribe, and it was all about the kids. And that's kind of how it started. So we were doing different things with the kids at the powwows, and then, of course, when I started doing the program at the Rhode Island Indian Council, it was all about the youth, and I had a lot of support. A lot of people came forward and worked with me. Some really key people came in. I had one of our good friends and sisters, Julianne Jennings, who's actually a professor at Rick, and she wrote a book on understanding the Algonquin language, and she was instrumental in sending me some of her earlier writings on songs, and we just expanded that, of course, with her permission. In fact, one of her prayer songs that she wrote, we open with that almost everywhere we go. So it's become like a famous song now, Yeah. And of course we accredit it to her, and she was just one of them. We have, Donald Fisher, known as Three Bears, or Nishpi Pakunawa in our language. And he was a Seekonk Wampanoag who was friends with Clinton Wixon, and they both used to talk fluently back and forth to each other. So I mean, I listened, and I learned. And he just passed away about a year ago, and we a lot of the songs that I wrote, I got his approval on them before we actually put them out there, because he was really the master of a lot of things that we were doing. But these people were all key elements in helping us, getting things going with the youth. And we had some young sisters from different tribes that came, helped us make regalia. Great people, so it was a gathering, really. It was like, we had it on Friday nights, and we had quite a few children. We had almost 50 children, I believe, at one point. And they were going and they were dancing at different powwows. We were carting them around in different cars. We'd all get together and grab them and bring them. And I think the climax of it was like 2009. We brought like 30 of our kids to the Narragansett powwow, their annual meeting, and they were all out competing in the competition, the dance competitions. And some of our kids won, some of them placed, some of them just had a good time. So it was like, it was great, Yeah. It was great. And we continued that for a few years after that. And of course, the kids grew up. And we just kept going on our drum mission, But
yeah.
I see some of the kids today, and, it's like they never forgot it. We did a lot of stuff together. We spent a lot of time together.
Yeah.
It was really a lot of fun. And my own kids were involved in it, so they got all that, all that good culture and history while they were out there.
Yeah.
And the new video, the Daybreak video, this was actually, it's been a long time in the making for us, because we started this journey back in 2017 on a project that Ray Watson put together on my drum. And we went down to San Antonio. I'm sorry, not San Antonio, to Austin, Texas, and we played at South by Southwest. And we were doing our traditional music. It was like 2 days of traditional music that we were doing in different venues. But we started at the Spider House Cafe down there. And that's where we met this gentleman, Yonaton Gat, from Israel. And he was actually, I didn't know who he was. He was sitting, he kept watching us, and he was smiling and everything. And then finally, he came over to Ray Watson and asked him if we wanted to play with him. And Ray came to me, and I was like, I don't know. I mean, we're pretty much just a traditional drum, but we have done some other projects with other bands. So he convinced me to reach out and try this. So we went in and we played with him at South by Southwest at this venue, and we played one song and rushed right off of the stage. And he came running out, and he's like, "Hey, the people are screaming. They want you guys back." So we went back and we played with him, and I mean, it was a different experience for me because I never had played with rock and roll before. I never thought I would, but there were so many people that liked it. And after we left South by Southwest, we got one of the best new acts in 2017. So that kind of triggered something in our minds. The two of us, Yonatan and I, and we came up with doing some stuff together. And I think what really made this be born was the video that we did in 2018. It was up your way. We were at Quechee Gorge in the middle of winter, where they have the Scottish Highland field there. And we were out there in a snowstorm filming, freezing to death.
I watched that this morning, and that's a really powerful clip.
It is.
Yes.
It is, and it was done well. Yonatan hired a professional cinematography guy from Israel, and he flew in to film that. And he did a beautiful job filming that. It was just
He really
fantastic.
did.
Yeah. And funny story about that whole thing, we ended up getting stuck in the snow, Rick. One of my drum brothers, Harry, his truck got stuck, and we tried everything to pull it out. I had my Ranger, and I had the tow chain around it. I couldn't get it out of the snow. And so we had to leave his truck there overnight. And two of my good friends, actually, a good friend of mine from the Scottish Highland Games up in New Hampshire, they were there for the video, and he hired a tractor to come in the next day to get this truck out. I mean, it was just amazing story.
And you didn't make that part of the video.
That would have been funny. We should have had some clips of that because it was amazing. Yeah. But that kind of started the journey with us and Yonatan. After we did that video, it really just took off.
After we're done.
On your website that you had put out there, I think it was in 2018, that you were looking to do some international touring. Where are you at with that?
So we started actually right after that video in 2018. We did a tour of Europe with Yonaton Gat, and we started off in Amsterdam. And we went to a small village right outside of there to play this big music festival, and that was our first shot in Europe. And I wasn't expecting much, but when we got there, they said the place was packed. And I said, well, how many people does it hold? They go, a couple thousand people in here. So I was pretty... They said there were people lined up outside. Of course, we came in all our regalia and everything. Nobody over there has ever seen, I don't think, real, Eastern people in skins and everything from the East Coast. So they were just amazed. And we put on a great show. It was a fantastic time. We left there, and of course we were driving, so it was great. We got to see the scenery. I went through Belgium, and we arrived in France, and we played in this place called Metz. I may not be pronouncing it right, but they had a big music festival there, and the people there just poured out their hearts to the musicians. They had like loads of French food that was like, I mean, it was just amazing.
That's terrific.
I said, if this is what it's like being in Europe, I'm coming back. You know.
So now they're going to produce a show called Daryl Stock, I heard.
That would be great.
Don't eat the brown fry bread.
Yeah, get to do any powwows, but we did a lot of performances. We did a lot of drum circles. We did a lot of like educational teaching to people. I produced two like winter and spring videos about the culture and some of our new songs and everything. So those are on my YouTube channel as well. And I do my own music sometimes. I have a couple of CDs out that are produced by myself, and I actually had one new one that came out last September. That was is called the Conotuck that we introduced, and that's a beautiful song that was approved by Three Bears, and that's on our new album. It's all languages, a beautiful Daybreak song, and then of course I have Nasquata Pumakan, which is the newest of all the music. I wrote this song. It is it's the fire dance, and it is a very, very powerful song in our language. And I actually did a video on that one, and I had one of my drummers who does the fire dance, the Eastern fire dance. He was featured in that. So in that song is the actual fire dance with the fire stick, and me doing the new song in the language. So you can catch that one.
Yeah. You know, you've mentioned a couple times now during our short conversation here, but you talk about being approved by an elder, being, like the elder giving you permission to use the songs. And I was wondering if we could just talk a little bit about protocol and what you notice about protocol as you travel around, and maybe what you wish would be more happening more, and what could our listeners maybe pay attention to a little bit more about protocol.
Well, I mean, the thing is that you really need to have somebody who spoke the language. That's the biggest protocol, because it's hard for me without having some kind of expertise in what it actually sounded like to write any music. And of course, it's tough to write music, new music, with a language that has been not spoken as much. So for me, the protocol that I was using is that I want the elder to hear it before I put it out and put it to be recorded or to be heard by anybody. So I think that was one of the biggest things that was helpful for me, is that if he liked that music and he liked the way it sounded, then I would feel better about actually putting it out, and that it just gave it such a better edge. Like, he could correct things if something didn't sound right. And there were times that he was like, nope, that's not the way, we got to go back to the drawing board. Let's try to clean it up a little bit, or we got to change the sound in that word or something. And I think that's what helped me, and now, both of those gentlemen are gone. So, now it's on me. I gotta do everything now from memory and what I learned for them, and I think the biggest thing is that, we're doing the language and the sounds of what was really here in the East.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of that is gone now. a lot of the music that you hear here, even at the powwows, you hear like Western or Southern style, plains and the Southern states type music. And I think that there's not that many people doing the actual language. I know a few. I know a brother up in Vermont, Brian Blanchette, who does Abenaki Abenaki music, and he does contemporary with his guitar, and he also does it with his drum, the Blackhawk Singers. He's a good friend of mine, and Brian actually comes down to the Providence PVD, which is a big festival, and I have a stage there, which is called the Black Eagle Production Stage, and I try to bring in a lot of cultural people, different cultural people, to play music. And Bryant is one of the ones. He's one of the favorites that comes down, and he plays his music in the Abenaki tongue. And I'm glad to have him there.
Yeah.
And it was my dream to be able to give people a place to express themselves and to bring out the culture. And we have a lot of different culture. We had Celtic, we had blues, we had rock, we had the drums, we had children's drum group. They were just fantastic. The ICR Drummers, which is run by a good friend of mine, Lee Mangano. And we teamed up to support these guys, the Eastern Medicine Singers. And they were just like, happy to be able to come out and do a drum circle with us, all the kids. And it was a great feeling. And I usually, on the average of that day, I'd usually have like 7 different bands come on and play. So
Wow.
it's a pretty good music venue.
Yeah. Oh, good
Attracted
for
a lot
you.
a
Yeah.
lot of people. We had a huge draw there in 2019. We estimated about 7,000 to 8,000 people at our stage.
Wow.
Yeah.
Present itself. We're all working for change. We're all working to protect the environment and the land and water, and we want to guide our youth in the right direction. Could you share a little bit of what vision you might have for future generations, or how we might all be able to work together?
I think my biggest vision is unity. I think that unifying all people from different cultures is probably the biggest vision that I've had. And I mean, I've actually been able to accomplish quite a bit through music and the drum. The Eastern Medicine Singers, was born out of nothing, basically. And we've come so far, collaborating with other people. I mean, we collaborated with a Celtic group called Kudu, and was one of our, probably one of our best-selling CDs yet. The combination of the both of them, it was called War Pipe, and it was just a lot of really crazy, bagpipe drum music all wrapped up in one. And I mean, it sold out with, but that's just an example of the kind of unity that we can do. We did a piece with the Boston Conservancy Orchestra that was turned into a CD. We worked with a brother from out west called Daniel Sacida, who wanted to use my music to do his thesis piece on his master's at the college. And we did a great piece and a great show with the Conservancy. We played with, the Irish fiddlers over at the Patrick's Pub, a good friend of mine, Bob Druin, who runs the fiddlers up there on, used to be Tuesday nights, but now I believe it's Wednesday or Thursday, and invited Eastern Medicine Singers to sit down and play with the Irish fiddlers. So we've already touched, a lot of different lives and a lot of different culture and things. And, we continue to do it. We have another song that we're doing with our good friend, Mary Lee Poddington, and our brother Ed, who plays with her, and she's got a lot of like folk music. And we had one particular song that we did together recently and have been doing for the last couple of years in shows together that was about a labor movement in Rhode Island with the drums. So the music, my biggest thing is the music brings the people together, and it all shows people that even and that was the big dream for me, is that Native music is just as good as anybody else's culture, and it can be blended in, and it can be out in the forefront for the people.
Mm-hmm.
We need to just bring it out of just the powwows and let people see the Native culture and the music for the beauty that it has, and on an equal level with everybody else. So that's kind of my extended vision. And of course, I'm getting up there. I'm going to be 62. I'm getting ready to retire from my law enforcement job, and I'm going to I'm going to be doing film and music, and hopefully a few grants will come my way so I can continue to be doing this stuff and be comfortable that doing it.
Yeah. Well,
Quay